has ways, as he said, to start challenging them in this game one.
I just love that Xiaopeng said, hey, you know, because of their macro, we need to fight them early. We need to hit them hard. That's what we saw them try to do against RA. Hopefully we see it here again today, but you can see from their draft that is definitely what they're going for. The LeBlanc coming out for Yet. It's been his best champion so far this split. Getting Sam D on the Kalista, the Lee Sin, so we know TT, they want to burn bright, probably going to burn fast. Yep. And then for the side of EDG, interesting, we get the Draven coming out. I do believe this is the first Draven pick Viper's played in his career. Not even something you typically see him pick up in solo queue.
Yep.
The Lissandra pick, something we're seeing a lot more of up against the LeBlanc, that traditional counter. And then a bunch of expected picks are on the board with Viego, the Xin Zhao, and Thresh coming out. A bit surprising that Xin Zhao made it all the way to last pick.
Which has just been such a big priority pick. We're going to talk more about drafts, but I want to highlight that the bottom lane looks spicy, right? Kalista, Draven, champions that need to get the ball rolling in the early game. Lee Sin and the Xin Zhao lyric can impact that lane, and considering we have a lot of nullifying lanes there, I'm looking towards bot here in this game one to see who can get their AD far ahead as we welcome you to a very spooky Summoner's Rift here for game one of TT versus EDG. And again, not many Jiejos in our ears. I hope you guys can hear them sitting where you are. Remember, this is delayed, of course, again, but RNG IG will be in Shanghai afterwards as they're the fans are ready to support EDG. An 8-1 team at the moment, guys. Remember, on the top of the LPL standings, we were going to talk about it, Lyric, in our opening segment. EDG have started summer the exact way they started spring, the 8-1 lead, sitting on top of the standings, a clean team that the LPL can be really proud of as we approach the midway point.
I was going to say you could actually take that as a good or bad sign, right? Because in spring, sadly, they weren't able to pull it through to the finish line and take the championship. But if they can put up a similar performance, right, they're at least guaranteed to go to Worlds, so hopefully EDG can show us that once again. And going back to your point about having early aggressive junglers with these very heavy all-in fighting bottom lanes, I really expect to see Jiejie play around this lane.
Yep.
For EDG, they're one of the few teams that have a higher jungle proximity around their AD carry than they do their top laner, which is pretty insane right now, especially in this meta.
True.
And they are the team with the highest control over first Drakes. EDG still the same team in spring in that regard. They love just going for that Drake stacking and making sure they have a safe win condition to fall on the later the game goes.
And balancing it out with TT, many segments have been done between you and me, me and Dagda, where we've looked at Sam D, we've looked at the bottom lane where now it is actually putting in that support position. So I feel like it sets up for both these teams with their windows of success. And how Xiaopeng on his Lee Sin, remember, a very powerful pick, can also react to this bottom lane. So far though, Meiko and Viper pushing in, huge wave build up as they hit 2 and Sam D and Pudding are just pushed back to the turret.
Not too surprising either, right? Thresh having that range advantage over Leona. I think Draven has a very slight range advantage over Kalista, like 550 versus 525. So gonna have that ability to get that push in the bottom side. I'm really interested to see where Viper goes with his Draven build, because we've seen a bunch of different variations, right? We've seen people go for the Eclipse. We've seen Immortal Shield Bow come out. Some. I think we had a game of Gale Force as well. Is TT gonna look for the play on mid? And swapping over to the other side for TT, you can expect this from their comp, right? Lee Sin LeBlanc, one of the best mid-jungle 2v2s in the game. It's something that seems to pop back up every split when, you know, certain champions start falling out of the meta, and we do get this more dynamic setup. So for TT, a lot of it to me is trying to find these opportunities mid, and even if you don't get the kill, finding Prio to go and shut down that Draven, make sure that Viper isn't able to cash in on any stacks, to where you have Sett in the top side, it's up against Viego, he's probably going to lose out on a lot of these early trades, so it's not too big of a deal. He's still going to be able to be a massive force in team fights.
But coming back to mid for a second, while we are really just honing down on the laning phase, I like that already Scout is forced to sit at the turret on low HP, has TP, but yeah, with a full HP bar, half a mana bar there as well. And Xiaopeng starting to hone towards the bottom lane because Viper was pushing in aggressively. Meiko as well, denying a Zenith Blade in the interaction. Jiejie even hovering there to shadow in case something happened as he backed away. So again, bottom lane continues to be the discussion. And Lyric, while the early game has just been about lanes, we didn't get a chance to talk about what these comps want to do, what they want to scale into, and what we should be looking out for. The Xiaopeng is now behind the bottom lane itself.
I was going to say, I don't know if we'll get another chance to, but Zenith Blade misses, so gonna be calm for now. For TT, right, I think it's pretty straightforward. They need to be looking to get ahead. They have a very pick-heavy composition coming out with the LeBlanc and Lee Sin. You want to be able to get that prio through mid. You want to start getting deep vision down, looking to catch people out in their jungle, maybe fighting over enemy blue buff, enemy red buff, and get the game going in that direction to where you can get that 2k gold lead, start stacking up some dragons yourself, maybe after you get like a first Rift Herald, you can really solidify that gold lead. To where for EDG, sure, you have picks like Lissandra and Draven, which fall in the same boat, but I feel like you can really just play a war of attrition because the later the game goes, I like what EDG has more. You have the Viego, which is an absolutely insane pick. We've seen how much it can do finding those resets. The Lissandra is going to completely shut down picks like LeBlanc and Lee Sin later on from being able to have that pick potential. Yeah, you're going to completely ruin the Kalista. Going to be really interesting to see how the Lissandra passive can take over a lot of these team fights with the low range on TT's composition. So one kill can turn into, you know, a frozen zombie, a ton of damage all over.
Yep.
So for EDG, for me, I think for Jiejie, keep shadowing bot side, maybe try to set them up with some ganks, or if you can even find an opportunity to dive once maybe Scout's TP's back up or something along those lines. Look for a dive, set Draven up for success, and then when it comes to these mid-game team fights, sure, you might not have the same amount of frontline that TT does, but I think you have a lot of good answers to the damage dealers on their composition to be able to come out ahead in skirmishes.
And I like that you talked about the frozen thralls here, so we'll just keep tracking Xiaopeng, ladies and gentlemen, seeing where he's moving. Because the frozen thralls, Viego resets, things that can elongate fights and give EDG multiple resets. Then play denied. The flash forward though, they're making their move as Viper's run a bit low on mana and Meiko's ignited down. First blood over to the core member, but Sandy's low and now Jiejie's in, putting very far forward. Viper hitting him with 1, 2, 3 whirling axes. Xiaopeng goes back in, but there's no further threat. Not in time there for the EDG jungler, but giving resources to Sam D is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Really nice overall coming out for putting in Xiaopeng, flashing immediately to guarantee those kills to come through. And this has been typical TT, right? Wherever action happens, it's all about Xiaopeng. He's been the person leading this team to success. Remember, TT was actually the first team to, not the first team, but the most prominent team to take a game off LNG. I think the first team to actually truly stomp LNG, and it was off the back of his Lee Sin performances. So we're going to get a replay here. Zenit blade denied, like you said, but doesn't matter. The flash stun comes out. Xiaopeng as well, running on forward, flashes to guarantee that kill, and wants to keep going on to Viper. Jiejie showing himself means that they aren't able to go forward, but Jiejie also not really having a good angle to go in with how healthy Xiaopeng is, and the fact that Sam D still being flashed means he could kite out any engage that Jiejie would be able to find.
And I love that from Xiaopeng, considering that I was talking up his Lee Sin before. Importantly enough, though, we've seen many iterations of Xiaopeng who... what roster am I thinking of? It was DMO, right? It was when Gala was down towards the bottom lane way back when it was known as Sino Dragon. And there was a lot of focus on that bottom lane. It was playing into his condition that when he joined the LPL, he loved this lane. I know it's a big stretch here, but I do like seeing the early activity coming through, setting up the condition you said of TT, and denying the condition that for EDG would make a lot of sense as well. First kill goes over, 10 CS discrepancy, but the Kalista set up. And now, yeah, even in his top lane lyric onto Flandre, you're going to be spotted out here by a good control ward, but trying to get this LeBlanc out of lane, as you also talked about, giving him freedom and access to the map.
Yeah, and TT going to use this opportunity to look for the Rift Herald. They're doing this because they still see Viper and Meiko on the wave in bot side. We can see on our screens that Pudding and Sam D have made their way up here, so EDG I don't think have any potential of looking for a contest. I think they should just transition down towards bot side right now, have Jiejie pick up his camps, and look to get some tempo, and maybe after you do that, getting some vision down into TT's bot side jungle. Just keep setting up for Draven to extend the CS lead. He's picking up some plates right now, so Viper going to be really big. We can already see he's going for that Essence Reaver first item, so one variant of that Draven build. Essence Reaver, of course, cheaper than a Mythic. Scout does have his ult available.
And Ring of Frost there, but not in time. Bursted down by Xiaopeng. He just goes in for it, calls the bluff, and he could be none the wiser.
Yeah, able to get the burst off before the ult is able to come through. I think even if Scout ulted himself in that scenario, probably would have gone down regardless. And TT off to a phenomenal start. Not really ahead in gold, so I don't think EDG need to be worried about too much. They already do have that first Drake on hand as well. Yep. Going back to that win condition that we always set up for EDG. And yeah, the game's still going at a smooth pace, which when you have EDG on the Rift is what you expect. They aren't the most active teams in the early game.
Yeah.
They have the lowest stats at 15 minutes. They're middling in terms of kills, pretty much across the board. First 50 minutes, we don't expect too much from EDG. We're going to see what happened here, though. Yeah, lands the chain, which sets up for the Sonic Wave to come out from Xiaopeng. Ult into the E guarantees the kill, and he's just able to get on out of there.
Just really smooth sailing there from Xiaopeng. Again, to highlight the Lee Sin here. And you mentioned the gold lead. I like that start here, Lyric, that it has been 2 really good ganks, 2 really good moments here from TT. But it needs to be a little bit more at this point as well. And reason that the gold is so out of favor, that is so even, in fact, EDG with a 200 gold lead, is because of this top lane that we're seeing, is because of the jungle as well. Lissandra holding strong, even Draven. I may as well just said, every lane has a CS lead just about. I guess mid's the only one you could clarify, but Lyric, I mean, that's just good to see, right? When Viego has a smooth laning phase, when the Draven, despite getting ganked by the Lee Sin, is able to keep up with that 10 CS advantage.
Yeah, and I'm a bit surprised that Flandre does have such a lead, right? He's even going to be able to pick up a bit of a wave now, because this is a lane where Viego is able to find advantages. You have so much mobility. You have a lot of ways to dodge out on pretty much every single one of Sett's spells.
Like that, I guess.
Flandre going to be fine. Yep, does have to burn the ultimate to do that one, but still gets out of there in the end. TT are still going to posture towards his top side, though, and they do have Rift Herald on hand. I wouldn't really like to see Rift Herald used on this top lane, though. Giving Langx plates doesn't seem like it does too much for TT's composition.
Oh, no. It was the face breaker coming through, but Flandre flashes between the buffers, so Xiaopeng can't get the kick back. And now, no matter what, the Herald's not going to be placed up here. In fact, they're making a move on the bottom lane, putting hit down hard. The Fate's call to save the day. The Ignite ticking down, but he will survive. But Viper and Meiko are going to have full access to this, while on the top side, EDG are doubling down, double trouble, 2 versus 2. The Sonic Wave not taken, but Xiaopeng at half HP. Facebreaker once again as he flashes away. Flandre does not have his Heartbreaker, and a Sonic Wave yet not to be taken again. But EDG across multiple points of the map, challenging and knuckling down.
Yeah, and that topside play, I really like it coming out from EDG. They forced the flash out from Xiaopeng, but Jiejie hovered around for too long and it didn't end.
Maybe not that play, though. Flandre's just caught out once again. The flash already burned. And over to Langx, there's the Sonic Wave taken. It's just an immediate out here for Xiaopeng. Takes double turret shot. And Jiejie will survive here, Langx to pick up the turret plating, but Lyric, we have to talk about bot. Even though it's shenanigans the top side, Viper is just giga ahead.
And this goes back to the thing of, wait.
No. Do you want a solo play? That's the question, because Cleanse has just been burnt. Viper still has flash available. And Meiko angling for the hook here. 2v2 continues.
And this goes back to, right, just even if you don't find a kill in a scenario, if you can get the damage down and pressure someone out of lane, you saw there, Sam D can't hit the wave. He's zoned out of the wave. You're going to get a ton of plates on Viper, but enough with bottom side because we're going straight up into top.
Oh, no.
And, yeah, Flandre, I'm not quite sure what he expected when he walked out of the wave. And Viper taking down Sam D, Meiko setting it up. Xiaopeng and putting her here, but now without your AD carry, I don't think TT can force too much.
I mean, you got a Herald that's going to charge. Xiaopeng just wants to pick up the gold solo at this point. And Jiejie hovering off, clearing a ward. They know he's down here. Herald will die, folks. And it means no turret plating for anybody. Viper picking up the kill as well. He cashed in on the adoration. He now has 2.3k gold, and he just bought the Essence Reaver.
Yeah, he's 1.5k up over Sam D, so going to be absolutely monstrous on this pick. This is going to set up for the second Drake to come out for the side of EDG as well. Scout just straight up chilling in the mid lane with the fact of that W in the Aftershock. None of LeBlanc's burst going to mean too much, but Xiaopeng going to look to contest.
No dice.
Not going to throw out the Sonic Wave in time to look for the steal, and Jiejie's just going to guarantee that one.
Scout's locking down, yeah, trying to hover between. No Xiaopeng's coming in. It's the Frozen Tomb on himself with the Sonic Wave. The kick away. A janky little interaction, but it was the flash. It was the Dragon's Rage at the same time. And it means Scout is just kicked further over the wall.
Yeah, Scout, I'm sure, was, planning to flash the second he came out of his ultimate. He knew he was, would have been gone there had he not done that. Jiejie having no real way to follow up. Sure can look for the W knee over the wall, but I feel like TT would be firmly in position to win that skirmish. So at the end of the day, EDG get out. They don't lose anyone in that exchange. They waste the Rift Herald play coming out from TT. They pick up a dragon, and they are feeling good as now we see that Noon Quiver coming out from Viper. So making his way towards his Mythic. Already extremely strong just on this Essence Reaver power spike as compared to just the Vampiric Scepter Noon Quiver coming out from Sam D. So EDG should be able to pick up the spot lane turret relatively soon, even if you just have Viper hover over.
Good change,
Scout.
but blocked by the minion wave. Xiaopeng can't get in. They're going to dive anyway, but Sonic Wave hits true. And it's Xiaopeng who once again gets involved. 4 out of 4 kill participation for this Lee Sin jungle.
I'll be totally honest. I cannot believe that Xiaopeng is even this close in farm to Jiejie, because this is the Xiaopeng special at this point, right? Sat up topside for like 2 minutes, never left, just kept chilling in that brush. Okay.
Almost.
No engage gonna come out. Okay, Xiaopeng's back here, hysteric, so over to you.
I mean, he's just in every single lane. A play breaks out. You expect Xiaopeng to be there. And while EDG, they've still got the gold lead. They've got a fed Draven. Xiaopeng's doing what he can to mitigate. Is sitting on a ward again. There's the Sonic Wave right into Jiejie. Challenging Smite, gets some damage down. Xiaopeng safeguards away. Remember, he doesn't have the flash for the kick, but knocked up. Jiejie's going to commit the Crescent Guard in. Enough damage has been done, though, as the safeguard comes through. Once again, Meiko with the Dark Passage. Beautiful. Fate's Call on the back end, the flanking TP, and Jiejie drops down. That's not a hook that Meiko wants as a Solar Flare. Even better. A Haymaker through the middle. Viper's still alive, though. 4 versus 5. TT have numbers advantage, but Meiko with the hook and the Heartbreaker down. The Frozen Thralls mean this fight for TT is going to go way downhill. Lockdown is Flandre, who got the reset right onto Another one bites the dust, and EDG can only run forward with momentum on their side.
EDG completely punishing TT's overcommitment, and they're going to keep going. They're still
diving.
have health bars. Flandre going in.
I mean, Xiaopeng was like, I'm going to angle for this, but Viper gets them again. Flandre with another kill. Inna's going to drop as well, and all of a sudden, down 3,000 gold is TT in game 1.
Yeah, and Viper must be feeling so strong right now. Might even already be able to base and complete his second item off this one. Also, Jiejie able to come out from base, already starting up the Rift Herald. TT not really in a position to respond. They will have tempo on getting to the top side of the map first, because they died, they got their bases off first. They should be able to make their move if Yen and Xiaopeng want to spot this out and try and stop this one.
But Lyric, I just want the replay because I want to start talking up Meiko. I'm not ready for this Herald fight just yet, but yeah, maybe got another plan. Jiejie's going to let it reset, and so is this LeBlanc. Meiko's Thresh, anyone doesn't know, I think, Lyric, it's great that you and I are on the cast as the people that have done a lot of research on LPL history. One of the best Thresh in the LPL, I'd say all time as well. You know, we're not going to go, I'll say, he's better than Marta for sure, but man, this guy's up there. And Meiko and Thresh is just such a great playmaker and so consistent when he really hits the mark.
Yeah, I mean, we just have so many exceptional Thresh players here in the LPL. I think Thresh and Lee Sin, right, the two mainstays of both support and jungle, especially when you have such a region that is built on, you know, mechanical outplays, knife fighting, skirmishing constantly. It's no surprise that we have so many of these. EDG going to be able to get themselves a Rift Herald. I am surprised we never got a replay of that last skirmish, because I feel like EDG's setup was actually kind of bad. Their TPs came out extremely late, but like you said, Meiko setting it all up. Xiaopeng, though,
good.
Still looking for action. Meiko not able to find that death sentence. Dragon's going to be up in about 35 seconds, so EDG right now trying to get their sideways under control. Flandre already pushed out top, making his way towards mid.
Right.
And now for Scout, because EDG don't really have solid control over bot side, has to take the long way around to come contest this mid lane prio to force themselves into river and look for that 5v5 against TT.
But Fate's Call is not up. For Sam D, that's a big tool as the hook goes a little bit short once again, but right angle as there's the Shirelias into the middle of the fight. They're jumping onto Pudding, who's into the backline, but Viper's not hurt at all. No one can get there yet, tries, but that's not enough damage as the Whirling Death finally returns, and Xiaopeng ready to give over more adoration. Into the backline, Langx has bitten off more than he can chew, of course. EDG lose nothing, and once again, blast TT to smithereens.
When you look at TT's comp, you might even think, hey, why aren't they able to win 5v5s? They have double frontline. On the side of EDG, sure, they have a Xin Zhao, they have a Thresh, but it's not exactly the same as actually having a Sett and a Leona. But you saw in that exchange, Sam D and can't really get in range to do damage. Yep. Everyone on EDG has tools to shut them out. They have so much CC to just lock them down and take them out of the fight. Popped his head in, not really able to get anything done, because even just one axe from Viper, he's like, okay, I am completely out of here. Yep. And EDG off the back of that, they're able to get damage down on a mid. They take yet another dragon. They force a wave in top, just completely controlling the map. We are going to get the replay here. EDG wanting to look for the fight. They send Jiejie into face check. and going in, again, puts himself in an awkward position because you look at Yen and Sam D, they're not really in a position to go in because Scout, I think, exceptional positioning, making sure that Sam D can't walk in. Yet tried to get in there, but as well, just being hit by Viper is like, hey, I can't handle this, and that just leaves your frontline tanks and all your engaged tools who did commit for the fight to go down in the end to the side of EDG. So I think the big highlight for me there was Scout's positioning, though, doing an exceptional job of kind of being at an angle where it says, hey, you cannot pass. If you come in, I will be able to lock you down. My team will be able to focus you, and we will win out.
So many tools, zone control there is into the brush. EDG know they're there. Xiaopeng on the wing. Meiko doesn't need to hit the hook this time around as Whirling Death even takes a large chunk. Flandre has the Heartbreaker. Watch for him in the back line while the rest of EDG go forward. Glacial path taken by Scout. They're on the chase. They don't want to let them get away. But this is just positioning to clear out Baron Vision and threaten yet another objective, as EDG have Soul Point going for them. They have this Baron completely blind. They have a 6k gold lead, and that's going to even grow as Scout takes down the last outer turret remaining for EDG, as Sandy's already at half HP. Look at Viper playing aggressively in the mid lane because he knows Meiko is there for the Dark Passage.
Yeah, TT got to be a bit careful, though, because with the pressure they just made it topside, with the vision they just got down, you can expect Jiejie and Scout to be rotating as they are now. So I'm glad no overcommitment came out from TT because that could have been heavily punished. But
Well,
TT are still looking for it.
They are. They send in the base call with putting into the backline on top of Viper, but he's taken no damage. You can't kill this Draven at this point in the game. And yeah, as he teleports in, it's going to be a big nah from me. Everybody in. The Heartbreaker on top of the ice. Immediately, it is a frozen heart in reality. Reset and reset here for Viego. And EDG again, 0 deaths.
Hysterics, 10 seconds ago, I said I'm happy that TT didn't overcommit because that rotation would come out from EDG.
And what did they
It was
do?
clear as day to see. I think TT feeling the pressure, knowing they're so far behind, kind of being desperate, grasping for straws for anything they could find. But EDG just had the setup to look for that play.
It's just, again, these tools that are being utilized well. You talked about how the fights would go. It obviously happened a lot earlier than we were expecting, but Scout, the all-in, the Everfrost from this Lissandra. I love her in the meta because she's such a great team-fighting champion, something that can deny, disengage, but something that can also set up for great all-in potential. And with alongside of Viego, right, you saw the interaction there. You get Heartbreaker, you get the Frozen Tomb, you get a Frozen Heart with these two champions right into a choke. So right now, Lyric, it's hard to see how TT come back from this game because you set it up so nicely when you talked about TT needing some of the pick potential with the Lee Sin, with the LeBlanc, but they're trailing on items here. There's a Majai's on Scout. There's almost 2 items here on the Xin Zhao. It's really hard to see how TT can survive this.
Yeah, Scout goes in, finds an amazing W into the Everfrost. There's just so much AoE. There's nothing that TT can do to respond in this situation. And we're looking at the replays of the kills coming down, but I feel like the problem was TT looking for this setup in the first place.
Okay.
Has more AoE.
Well, TT, at least this time, it looks pretty good as Viper sent over the wall, but look, the Kalista doesn't matter. Viper still lives. Meiko on the backline sectioned off. This could be the best possible fight for TT, but it is still going absolutely horribly as Langx versus Flandre. You're not going to win this one here with a Viego who's now 5-1. And on the backline, Scout says, where are you? Yeah, trying to play, and luckily he will be able to play, but you might have just given up the Ocean Soul, at least the setup here for game 1.
Viper's first competitive game on Draven. It would be absolutely nuts if he goes without dying.
True.
So far, showing up really well. They dominated the laning phase. He's playing aggressively in team fights. You know, having a bit of that Jackie Love swagger where he's going too far forward and you're like, oh my god, Viper, are you going to survive? But his whole team is there right alongside with him. He knows exactly what he's doing. That's why we call this guy the best AD carry in the LPL right now. But EDG, it's definitely a team effort.
Good fates call here from Sam D. The Whirling Death chunked him massively. And even now they have to pay the respect. Free Ocean Soul, I think I'll take it at 24 minutes into the game.
And I mean, right, at this point, we got to call it. It looks done and dusted for TT. Soul, over a 10k gold lead. You know, team fights at this point, it doesn't even matter too much about execution. It is purely stats diff coming out on the Rift. And we keep seeing the pitfalls of this very low-range composition, right? You have to group up. You're setting up for the Lissandra to find the all-in. You're setting up for that Heartbreaker to come out from the Viego. And this looks like where TT have their potential best chance. Langx finds his way in there. They get a ton of damage down onto both Viper and Meiko. Viper, though, having so much sustain, already having the Immortal Shield Bow, the burst there as well, Sam being taken out, and it leaves the tankier members of EDG able to clean up this fight, because once the burst is gone from the side of TT, they don't have anything left.
And then you have the consistent damage of EDG, the Viego, the Lissandra, and now for Jiejie, trying to put the nail into this game. Remember, guys, Ocean Soul's been picked up, and for EDG, it doesn't matter if they take damage, it doesn't matter if they get hit by the burst, they will recover, while Viper is just soloing away the Baron. He can do this with the Bloodthirster, but it is on a ward, so TT no. And they're coming into range. Look at Viper, he just doesn't care. He's still doing it, takes the Dark Passage, and they're found pudding. Goodbye, sir. 5 versus 4. I didn't really like the dessert anyway. It's kind of trash. As EDG with numbers advantage now go back to the Baron.
You know, sir, I gotta tell you, pudding is actually at least a high A-tier dessert.
You are, you know, I don't know what you're saying. You're absolutely off your cracker as almost dies. You're pretty much like this LeBlanc lyric. You're delusional, thinking that you could go towards the Baron pit. And as they get mid-lane turret, Baron goes down. On the run. And Flandre is going to try and chase him down.
I mean, he's just dead, Hysterics. He has like 20 HP left. They don't even need... Flandre doesn't even need to do it. So it's actually good for TT, I guess. He gets executed, but still, EDG are positioned to start sieging down the base. They're going to push in. They should be able to get this turret. I wouldn't even be surprised with how long Yez down if they can start rotating over to secure this top side inhib, because Scout's already pushed in mid-wave. Meiko's making his way over as well. Flandre's here. So I think one inhib's at least in the cards for EDG at this point.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I would start betting 2 here, because EDG are so much up. It's 13,000 gold. I'm not sure if my math is good there, folks. You can question me on that, but look at the damage that EDG are doing here with the AP conversion on Scout. Even has the demolish
Sir, it's like 12.9 thousand gold. Thank you very much.
Sorry, not to be specific. If I got 13,000, that's my OCE math coming into play.
Actually, so. now it's over 13,000, so you're right on the money.
I got there in the end. Maybe this is what EDG are going to do. Look for the final play. Heartbreaker spreads them out. Viper doesn't need the Adoration stacks, but he'll take them in the end. First competitive Draven game, and he is unbeatable. 2-shot of Leona, 2-shot of Sett in the end, 2-shot of Lee Sin. Triple kill over to the AD carry, who is the best in the region, nay, one of the best in the world. You've heard of the bottom lane across the world that is known as Viper and Meiko. And now you see it in action here to dominate TT for game number 1.
And all that stuff that Xiaopeng was talking about with macro and how good EDG is, it didn't feel like it even mattered in the end, because this game, in the end, just kind of looked like pure bot diff coming out. I think a bit of execution or misplanning on the side of TT. Again, I wasn't a big fan of how much time Xiaopeng was investing into Langx's lane. It's like, hey, you have a Sett up against the Viego. He's already losing a lot more than he should be. I think he was like 25 CS down. You got to put those resources into getting your Kalista ahead, at keeping Viper down. They didn't do that, and we saw in that pure 2v2, Viper and Meiko were absolute fire.
They were, and I'm glad to see the first Draven game for Viper is such a success. Quick comment coming out of that as well. Viper Meiko, this is not the first time we've seen bot diff. It has been throughout the season. It was last split as well, where people are looking at it and saying, it's Gala who's the best AD carry in the LPL, right? It was Viper by far. I'll hands down go on record to say that. This split is the exact same with EDG doing so well. And they made TT look like a semi-last place team, because that's what they are. They're sitting towards the bottom of the standings. 1-7 right now. Even though Xiaopeng had a good early game, and we have to give them credit, it was just through the individual lanes. EDG never faltered at what their true win condition was.
No, EDG knew all we had to do is keep steady, and we will be able to get ahead in the end. They were banking on that pressure coming out from bot. It did. They opened up the map early on. We saw the same EDG game plan as always, stacking those Drakes so you have something to fall back on. And even more so for EDG because they are so inclined to get leads in most of their games from how strong their laners are. It also forces the enemy team to fight you at an earlier time in the game so you can snowball those games to a victory. So overall from EDG, this is what we would expect, right? I mean, these teams were complete opposites. For EDG coming into this series with 1 loss, for TT coming in with 1 win, and even in the interview from Xiaopeng, TT understood that they were heavy underdogs coming into this series.
Yeah, and look, I still think coming back to it, right, like, even though they were underdogs, Xiaopeng played that early game so well. Viper was our MVP, by the way. What a surprise. You're all looking at that and saying, yeah, of course. Meiko gets a huge shout-out in my book. To correct myself in-game, Mad Life was definitely the person I'm thinking of, but Meiko has always been up there, and now alongside Viper, it's because of both of their individual skill levels that we're seeing so much great success.
Yeah, and especially, you know, it's gonna be a bit of a weird tangent on Meiko while we have Viper on our screens, but you know, we remember Meiko playing with Hope last year. Hope, even though I think a very promising, exceptional AD carry, was much more of this like late game team fight hyper carry, to where Viper does it all. We've seen that from the picks that they've played this split. They've done the Senna Karma and played utility. They've done the Cog Lulu, played the hyper carry lanes. They can play the Kalistas and the Dravens. They can play more stock and standard team fight with the Ezreal and like Alistar lanes coming out. So with Viper by his side, Meiko is just able to do it all, and this is the most versatile part of this EDG roster.
You're talking about Hope last year. I mean, I'm going to go back and say it feels like he's playing with Deft again. I look back, and obviously it's a very different meta. We know how Deft is as a player. You all remember him from EDG 2015 MSI, if you are boomers, you know, like us. But now with Viper, I just get this really fun feeling, and EDG giving that same feeling here against TT in Game 1. When we return, we're going to see if TT can fight back or if EDG are just gonna... For game number 2. It's a bad slap. Let's try it again. Wait. Got there. We got there.